Thank you very much. Okay. Hi,
I
everyone. My
think
name
we
is
can,
Ree from Southwest London.
sorry, I do apologize. I think we can
Yeah.
only see your notes. At least this is what I can see rather than the presentation. I don't know if
So
everyone.
this is just a very bland slide.
Okay,
So
fantastic. I thought it was your notes.
not my
Just
notes,
wanted
it's
to
just a
let you
bland
know in
slide.
case.
No,
Brilliant.
they get a bit more exciting, but this is just the first one. I think there's a lot of content. It wouldn't make it too snazzy for me, but no, it's just a bland slide. But just to say, my name's Ree from Southwest London Law Centres, which is also known. Some of you might refer to it as Croydon Law Centre. But we represent all of Southwest London residents. And we are currently based in Davis House and we do various different outreach work. And I'm just starting off with a link to some shelter information. I understand that this workshop wanted to cover housing and homelessness. And a lot of people that I meet in the community want to know when they very first become homeless, where they should approach. So the law centre might kind of get involved at a later stage of the homeless issue, and it might be when the council isn't doing what they should be doing to support homeless people. Before we start, I wanted to just caveat that some of the wording isn't wording that I necessarily support. I think that everyone that is entitled to everyone should have access to homeless support and regardless of entitlement. And as a community, people shouldn't be homeless. I just wanted to say that. And if any of the language that is in legislation or policies comes across as quite abrupt, it's because I'm quoting it directly. So I'm just starting with this very bland slide. This is not my notes. It is just a bit of information. So to say that this is taken from a shelter web page, but basically talks about how to ask the council for help. So if you are homeless or could be homeless in the next 8 weeks, you can make a homeless application. So most people should get some form of help from the council homeless team. The council should make it easy for you to ask for help. So you can contact them by phone call, online form, email to the homeless team, going to the council offices in person, accessing information in a way that the person that is making the homeless application in a way that they understand. So they should be given an interpreter if they need one, be given information in a language or format that they understand. If the person can't afford to access their own translation services, they should tell the council, and then it could be considered discrimination if you ask for help, but these things are refused. So if that does happen, it's worth kind of recording it, asking who the person at the council, what their name is, what time the incident happened, and what date. So if you've kind of been refused the assistance, it's good to just get a record of the name, time, and date that refusal has happened. So hopefully my slides are going to get a little bit more interesting visually as I go into the next one, hopefully. So if it lets me go into the next one. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to start with building a legal case. So some of the things as a community we can actually do to support people before it needs to get to the law centre stepping in. And there are some basic things that we can do to help our community members. So the approach that we kind of suggest is a thing called IRC. And this is how someone can build their legal case to make it as strong as possible. So it stands for evidence, identify, report, and connect. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about what that actually means. So evidence, if someone is facing a legal issue, they need to, or you need to, through assisting them, help them build some evidence. So that might be if they have disrepair, it might be taking a photo of the disrepair, putting it in context. So if the disrepair is near something like a cot, put it in context to make it a stronger picture. So kind of if there's like mold near a cot, show that So it kind of shows the impact of the mold and that there's a child sleeping near that. Or evidence might be if someone is homeless and they have a health condition, they should be gathering evidence to demonstrate that health condition. So that might be medical reports, hospital letters. Hospitals can be really good at providing letters to support someone's homeless situation. Also, social prescribers. Croydon is really lucky to have a really good team network of social prescribers. And from the experience I've seen, social prescribers do provide supporting letters for people in their housing situation. So it's kind of building that type of evidence, or it might be if there's a threatening landlord, building the evidence of emails or like aggressive text messages. All of that kind of contributes to evidence. Then we go to identify. So identify is identifying who is responsible for dealing with the situation. Sometimes there's multiple culprits and failures of actually someone in power dealing with the situation and helping to fix that problem. But it might be that if you've received an aggressive message from a landlord, they are responsible for doing that, but also the council might be responsible for helping resolve or scrutinise the issue of the aggressive landlord. It might be also that if the council have refused a homeless application, they are responsible for that decision. So then it's report. So reporting the issue, so say it's something like mold, you should call your landlord, tell your landlord. Sometimes it's good to do it in writing. So it might be like a text message or an email, just so you have a kind of a chain. Or a report might be you make a homeless application and actually reporting the fact that you're homeless. So those kind of things at the first stage, you need to report the issue. If it isn't addressed within the time frame that you find reasonable, I normally say about if it's something like disrepair, like 2 weeks. But if it isn't addressed, then you should report through a kind of formal complaint route, which we'll cover in a little bit later. And then connect with other people that are facing similar issues. So for residents, that might be other homeless people, or people on your estate, if you have like a tenant group. The fact that this is a forum of community members, I think there should be positive connections between us. And if we're kind of seeing systemic issues that are affecting our community, I think it's really important to be sharing that information among each other. So if you kind of see a systemic issue of the council not offering people translation services that require it, potentially that's a systemic issue and a failure from a local authority. So we should connect and report it among each other so we can raise that issue collectively with the council. So these things kind of help build a legal case. So if it gets to a point where you need to contact the law centre, if you've got evidence, if you've identified who's responsible, if you've reported the issue, then all of these things just make for a stronger case when asking for help to the law centre. So this just says, so the last section of this slide says, if you're seeing systemic issues impacting someone's housing or access to homeless support, do share it with us, because we can collectively challenge these issues. So I've just included this section about what we at the Law Centre can help with and what we can't help with. So this information is on our website. So the kind of easiest way to make a request for assistance is through our website, just because it kind of goes through what we cover, and it kind of asks you for key information, which just makes a bit of a stronger inquiry. So the things we help with are emergency advice and representation at court for housing possession cases. So we have solicitors through the duty scheme at Croydon County Court. So that provides on the day advice and representation. So if someone has a possession hearing, which you might sometimes refer to, you might hear referred to as an eviction hearing at Croydon County Court, there should be someone at the county court from the law centre. And when it's really important that someone that has an eviction hearing, possession hearing, asks to speak to the duty solicitor. So when they go to the court, they say, please, can I speak to the duty solicitor? It's really important that they attend the court and take any relevant documents with them. So if you are supporting someone who has a court hearing, then if they ever kind of want a pre-chat, or if you want to speak to me before that, just for a bit of reassurance that they should attend. We understand that it's pretty overwhelming, the idea of going to court. Then you're free to contact me, and I'm happy to just reassure them that it's if it's the right thing to do. So we help with eviction and possession hearings if you're in a rented home, so including notices served by your landlord, homelessness, succession. So succession is if you're in social housing and you succeed the tenancy. So that might be that your parent lives there, they've passed away, and the kind of tenancy comes to you if you're a cohabiting or a spouse. There are rules around this, and regulations changed. I think it was in 2012. So that's why it's important to get some legal advice if you're affected by that. Unlawful eviction, we cover rented home in such poor condition that it's affecting your health. So this is the kind of thing I was talking about, where it's really important to gather evidence. And the threshold for disrepair, at the moment, there's elements that are it has to be impacting your health. There is an AWAB's law that has come into force, and perhaps I can come back to the forum to give a bit more information about that in the future, because that sets new requirements on social landlords to be dealing with disrepair within set timeframes. And through the Renters' Right Bill, that should be covering private accommodation as well, which is good news, hopefully. So if your landlord has applied to a county court for an injunction against you, for example, for antisocial behaviour, getting rent deposits back, and renters' problems with estate agents. So they're the things we cover. In brief, we can't help if you're a landlord buying or selling your property, wills and probate, housing transfers, neighbour disputes, boundary disputes. So there are some issues that hopefully won't get to the point where it requires our housing experts, but it might be at an earlier stage of a housing issue, such as rent arrears. So we have a cost of living, and we have a cost of living project, and we have a excellent debt team as well. We run a session called Turn Up Tuesdays at our Croydon office every Tuesday. So if someone has any form of rent arrears or debts or money issues, then please do direct them towards that. As mentioned, we have the duty scheme. So if you could just encourage people to attend their court hearing and ask for the duty solicitor, that's really important. Go to the next snazzy slide. So how to make a strong referral to South West London law centres. So is the issue something we assist with? So as covered on the previous slide, is it something that we assist with? Are there any key dates, such as court hearings, appeals, reviews? Mention the key dates. Is the person legal aidable? I think on our website we have a link to being able to calculate if they're legal aidable, which, if you're on certain qualifying benefits, is easier to figure out. Otherwise, there's an income threshold. Does anyone in the household have any health issues? So that's anyone in the household, so children, adults. How severe are they? And is there evidence? So if they'd recently been admitted to hospital, that kind of information is really key to include. If they've been especially admitted to hospital because of a housing issue. If asking for help because a homeless application has been refused, outline why it's been refused and why you think the refusal is wrong, such as if a person has been found in non-priority need, but you believe they should be in priority need. So We are also at Southwood Community Kitchen on the first Thursday of the month from 1 p.m, providing housing support. So my colleague Shanice is there carrying out a mixture of Noah Rights workshops or one-to-one advice. So the Noah Rights workshop, so this Thursday we have your rights and eviction. So the workshop will look at what steps you will need to take once you've received an eviction notice, explain different options if you have rent arrears and whether the notice is legal, and how to challenge a possession claim from your landlord. So that's this Thursday. So direct anyone there, or if you're interested, please come. Southwood Kitchen provides lovely, excellent food, and you would be very welcome to have lunch beforehand. So we'll be there on Thursday. I also carry out temporary accommodation action groups on the first Thursday of the month. So there are kind of physical meetings associated with our temporary accommodation campaign. And the campaign is looking at the conditions of temporary accommodation in Croydon and what we can do collectively to improve the conditions. I'm sure you've assisted a lot of people in pretty bad condition temporary accommodation, and people have to live there for a really long time. So this is just trying to teach people how to kind of advocate for themselves in some instances, but also do collective actions so we can change the systemic issues that are creating bad temporary accommodation. So yeah, this week we have a Know Your Rights eviction. I'm just going to check time. Eviction workshop on the 17th of October. We have a online lunchtime workshop, and that is focusing on landlords refusing to return tenancy deposit, landlords refusing to carry out repairs, wanting to leave a rented property before I think that should probably be before the tenancy is up. So if you want to sign up to our updates, then you can join our social justice network, and I've put a link, the email address, but you can join that through and just saying sign me up, and I'll put that in the chat afterwards. So I'm just going to quickly give a little bit of information about what is priority need. So through speaking to the community, a lot of the time it's people who have become street homeless. They've approached the council, they've been refused assistance, and it later, through conversations, it's proven that they should have priority need. They should have been given emergency accommodation, but that stuff didn't happen, unfortunately. So you might, through your community work, you might face quite similar interactions. So I've just thought it's important to give a little bit of information about priority need. And then there's a link at the end of this slide that is from Law for Life that gives a really good module on how you can learn more about homeless assistance. Just so I don't reinvent the wheel, I've given you the information about other kind of colleagues in the legal world that have created really good guides on this. So some priority needs are absolute, such as if you are pregnant, such as if you are pregnant or have children under 18, homeless because of domestic abuse, aged 18 to 20 and were in, sorry, that should say care, not case, and you were in care when aged 16 to 17. So that bit I think is really important as well. So if you're supporting any people with care experience aged 18 to 20, then they should be in priority need. Some people go into supported housing, whereas actually there might be other routes that are more suitable for them. So it might just be worth exploring that aspect if someone has experienced care and they're aged 18 to 20, and have they kind of gone through the right pathway and getting the support they're entitled to. So I just wanted to outline as well, domestic abuse includes intimate partners, ex-partners, family members. So we have supported before people that are over 16 and they've been physically thrown out by a parent, verbally abused, and they were refused housing support. But actually, after we kind of fought the case, it was shown that that was domestic abuse. So family members are also responsible for domestic abuse, or individuals who share parental responsibility for a child. There is no requirement for a victim or and perpetrator to live in the same household. If a person is at risk, is under 16, that may be considered child abuse, which so that might just require a different route of assistance. So what does vulnerable mean? The local authority may assist you your needs if you're vulnerable to receive help. In housing law, this means that you're more at risk if you are homeless than most other people. So you may be able to demonstrate the person you're supporting is more vulnerable because of illness, disability, serious health condition. So the people I've met in the community that are experiencing street homelessness is because they fall into this category. So the kind of absolute ones, such as you're pregnant, have a child under 18, or homeless because of domestic abuse, even though sometimes you have to fight to prove that there's domestic abuse, they're kind of more absolute protection. Whereas things like illness, disability, or serious health condition can sometimes take a bit more proving, which is why I've kind of met quite a high number of people who have ended up street homelessness because the council have decided that they are not more at risk than the average person of experiencing homelessness. So yeah, so I think if there is an illness, disability, or serious health condition of a person that you're supporting that is homeless, it's important to get them some advice just to check that they could, if they could meet a threshold. So there's also some other special conditions. And the link I've given into goes into a bit more detail about the special conditions that you need to meet in order to be considered priority need. So there's a link, and I imagine these slides are going to be shared. So the Advice Now, Law for Life, How to Support Someone with Homelessness, but it's a really good kind of module that will just give you more comprehensive information about all of this. So I also just wanted to say that I think it's really important to formally raise issues with the council. So the kind of mechanism that you do that through is complaints. So you go through the council complaint procedure to raise a formal complaint. A lot of residents, especially that have been refused assistance, or feel vulnerable, the word complaint might make them feel that they are going to place themselves at more risk of persecution. I try and explain it to people that it's raising an issue through a formal route that then allows them to kind of go on to the next steps of holding the council to account. So when to make a complaint to the council, so it's when the council isn't acting appropriately. So what you should do is report the issue first, and then if the issue isn't dealt with, make a complaint. So depending on the type of housing issue, going through the formal complaint procedure, you kind of go through the formal complaint procedure, and then you can go to an ombudsman. And I've got a link to how you go through formal complaints. So the local government and social service ombudsman says it looks at complaints about councils and other authorities and organisations, including education administration appeals. But what it does include is the council handling of homeless applications, possessions kept in council storage. So recently I heard of a case where someone was homeless and their possessions had been lost by the council. So potentially the ombudsman would investigate this. If there is a failure to deal with repairs in temporary accommodation. So this is what I've kind of found quite important, where people have been in temporary accommodation that has quite a lot of disrepair. If it hasn't been dealt with, which in most cases that I've seen, when it hasn't been dealt with, so we've kind of gone through the formal complaint procedure. Luckily, in most cases, it is dealt with by the time it gets to stage 2. If it isn't, then go to the ombudsman, and kind of going through the stage 1, stage 2 complaint process within the council. If it's not dealt with, then allows you to go to the ombudsman. So I think it's really important. There's also the housing ombudsman, and which covers a slightly different aspect of housing. So the local government and social service ombudsman deals more with trying to maybe access housing, so that's temporary accommodation, homelessness, and a few other things. The housing ombudsman investigates things once you've got the social housing. So often this might be for dealing with the councils or the social landlords handling of your disrepair. So for example, it deals with property conditions, repair charges, complaint handling and how a landlord's responding to antisocial behaviour that it's affecting the resident in their home. So again, going through the formal complaint routes is really helpful because it enables you to get to the housing ombudsman. And that can be quite an effective way of escalating an issue. So I've included a link on how you make the complaint to the council. Again, if you get the slides, then this would be included. We've had really positive outcomes from making complaints to the council where it kind of hasn't been necessarily a law centre legal aid issue. Just letting the council know about the issue and going through a formal process has actually enabled residents to get their housing issue dealt with. So I think it's important. So I've just included all the different routes that you can get, you can raise the complaint. So, and then this is just about Night Watch and asking if anyone from Night Watch was in the room and potentially how the forum could offer support to Night Watch. This might be a conversation that is out of the forum, but I just wanted to say from what I've read in Inside Croydon, and when I've spoken to community members, they're quite concerned that Night Watch might not be able to operate from its current space. And it's a really valuable resource to our community and support for homeless people in the borough. So I think if there is a way the forum can support protecting Night Watch, then we should offer that. So that's the end of the slides. Thank you, everyone.
Hello. Thank you, Ree, for that. Excellent presentation, packed with lots of information. And yes, we can send the slides out. If you forward them to me, I will make sure that everyone who's attending gets a copy of those. Thank you for that. We did get a presentation from Croydon Council, and Sarah Maloko has opted to share some of that with you. And again, we have some meeting notes that will come out, and we will include that in the presentation, in the notes after the meeting.
Thank you, Kay. And there are two questions in the chat with a reference to the presentation we just had. And one is from Kodia asking if you have a referral form. The Southwest London Law Centre has a referral form, and the other one was from Linda. She wrote it probably while you were talking, so it just says, is that weekly? So I'm not sure exactly what she was referring to, but maybe she can tell us.
So, Linda, I'm sorry if I'm cutting into you. If you would like to explain, then I'll go silent. If not, just to explain the two things I mentioned. The Turn Up Tuesdays is a weekly session, so that's once a week. I'll put the information in chat if you don't mind the chat popping up in a few minutes, because it will take me a while to type it out. So yeah, the Turn Up Tuesday is weekly, and that is for money support around money issues. The housing advice and temporary accommodation action group is the kind of physical meeting space is monthly, and that's at South Norwood Community Kitchen on the first Thursday of the month. But the kind of temporary accommodation campaign work is ongoing. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, then they can contact me, residents can contact me. It's not casework, it's not legal casework, it's collective campaigning. So if you do want to connect a resident with me or contact me about it, please just be aware that I'm not carrying out casework. It's collective campaigning, and to see what are the systemic issues that we can we should be changing within council and government. And then there was another question about, can people just come down to the law centre? So because of our capacity, often it is easier if people are able to complete the online inquiry forms, and if you are a community member that can support them with that, it's, given the kind of information that I've just given you, it would be really handy if you can help someone make a strong inquiry to us. Often I see inquiries that come in and there's really vital information missing, but I meet the person making the inquiry 2 weeks later in the community. They explain their housing situation. It is totally something that we could deal with, but the way they've kind of conveyed it in the inquiry form just might not have seen the issue, the kind of issue that they explain might not be something that we deal with, and it kind of just takes a little bit more pressing to tease out the kind of key information, if that makes sense. So hopefully you as community members, if you can help someone make a strong inquiry, then we would really support that. We have really limited capacity, and there's so many social justice issues in this borough and South West London that we're trying to fight. We need as many community members to join us in that fight and help people make strong inquiries to us. So yeah, you can contact me, but it would be really appreciated if you can also support people where possible. And then, sorry, there's just one other question about if there's another training this week. There is a training at South Norwood Community Kitchen on evictions, and that is taking place at 1 o'clock on Thursday. I'll put that in the chat as well, but apologies if there's going to be loads of stuff popping up from me in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That was super useful. Thank you, Ree. Right. So, as Kay said, the homelessness intervention and prevention team wasn't able to come from Croydon Council, but they sent some slides that I will share with you now. Can you all see them? Okay, sorry, I cannot see anyone. Can you say yes or no?
Now
They just come up now.
They have, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm not expert on the topic, so my aim is just to go through the slides. So what they're saying, first of all, they kind of introduce the homelessness intervention and prevention team is the front end of the housing service. So they basically assess and determine what the duty of care is for the applicant and the household. So they say that the mission is to prevent homelessness, whether it is helping individuals maintain their current housing or assisting them in finding new accommodation. What they've been saying in quite a few of these slides is that they're not in a position to offer anyone a social tenancy at the moment due to the high demand for social housing within the local authority. This is a slide about the duties they have. So they've got a prevention duty, a relief duty, and a main duty. So the prevention duty is about the local authority taking reasonable steps to help the person ensure that accommodation is available. And this duty continues for 56 days, but it can be extended if they enable you to stay where you live, you find somewhere else to live, we find you somewhere else to live, such as private rented sector tenancy. And the relief duty requires the local authority to take reasonable steps to help secure accommodation for any eligible person who is homeless and ends in 56 days. The main duty is about providing temporary accommodation until the duty is ended, either by offering settled accommodation or accommodation in the private sector. So again, they're saying they're not in a position to offer any social tenancy. So the duties discharged mainly into the private sector at the moment. So this slide instead is about what they do already to prevent homelessness. So what they do is develop a personal housing plan with everyone who is eligible at risk of homelessness, who approaches the team, setting out the actions they and the council will take to help prevent them from becoming homeless. They prevent homelessness from the private sector by maybe negotiating repayment agreements with the landlords if you've got rent arrears, advising about discretionary housing payment, offering the homelessness prevention grants. They also help people to find alternative private rented housing if homelessness cannot be avoided, and offering private landlords rent deposits and incentives in some cases. And they also offer mediation when family and friends ask someone to leave their home if a disagreement has caused it. They also provide some extra support for more vulnerable clients. So obviously, as you all know, they host the Family Justice Service that ensures dedicated support for survivors of domestic abuse. They also have a designated officer reviewing the needs of young people. Care leavers is given as an example, and accompanied asylum-seeking children and other young people at risk of homelessness. And then there is a referral process to the homeless support service for clients who are discharged from hospital or prison and are verified as rough sleepers. So these are the kind of content details they've given us. So they stress that the main point of access is through the online assessment tool, and that is the link, and I'll put it in the chat as well as a full link after I finish. You can walk in to access Croydon. You can be referred by a statutory body, and that's the email address they should use, or an internal service, of course. And the email at the bottom is the general one that we can all write to. Right, so this is like a step-by-step timeline, if you want, of what happens after you do your online self-tool. So they say that once the self-help tool is completed, the case is allocated to a duty officer and they verify the application. And then the applicant is emailed to book an appointment. And, you know, you can choose a time that is convenient for you. If homelessness is imminent, so within 14 days, or they don't have an appointment slot that, you know, is suitable for you, the applicant is contacted with an offer of an appointment. So they say they do appointments in different ways: face-to-face, telephone, on Teams. And also everyone is offered at least one face-to-face appointment. And they also offer a walk-in service to applicants who are homeless on the day. And finally, we've got a list of the partners they work with. So these are the partners they listed and they're working with, but I'm sure there are more, definitely more than this. But they work in collaboration with a range of NHS, Croydon Council teams, as well as voluntary sector teams. So that's all I have. I hope it was useful. We've got some notes that Kay produced as well, and they were actually approved by the team, and we will be sending them around. And I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you, Sarah.
And I would suggest if you've got any questions, maybe you can put them in the chat, and what we can do is go back to the council and kind of to that specific team and pass them on and see whether we can get a reply for you. We've got someone from Croydon Council today, but she is from the welfare benefits team, so kind of slightly different type of work, so she might not be able to answer.
Thank you. So we've got some other organisations that support with housing, and first of all, we have David Ashton from Hear Us. David, if you'd like to give a summary of how you support people with housing.
Hi there. I've got a presentation. I'm not terribly familiar with Zoom, so oh, there's the share screen. Okay. There we go. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes, we've got your slide notes on the side still.
Brilliant. From beginning. Okay, so I'm here from Hear Us, and I manage Hear Us's Welfare Rights Advice Project. So who are we? So Hear Us is we call ourselves a mental health service user group, in that we are a mental health charity staffed almost entirely by people with lived experience of mental health difficulties. We're based in Croydon. We think of ourselves as a voice for mental health service users, and we have a number of different projects that we operate, including the Welfare Rights Advice Project, which I manage. We also have an open forum, which is the first Tuesday of every month, where we have guest speakers talk about issues of importance to the community, or might be useful to the community. We have our link working project, where we have link workers who themselves have lived experience going to wards and mental health resource centres to talk to patients about their experiences and help them communicate with the staff. We have recently we've had funding for a campaigning project, which is it's in its early stages, but it's trying to gather information about campaigns that may be important to the mental health community, in order to help us to try and make positive change. We have an anti-stigma project called the Reach Out Challenge, where we visit places that come into contact with people with mental health problems, and try and talk to them about what it's like to live with mental illness, as well as promoting sort of well-being and mental health acceptance in their workplace. So you can find out about all our different projects on our website. But I'm going to talk more about the Welfare Rights Advice Project, which I run. So we are typically support people with their benefits, so we can help with a wide range of benefit issues, including sort of PIP, universal credit, and ESA is typically what we do most. We've also got experience helping people with housing benefit, although that is sort of being phased out for most people with the managed migration to universal credit. We've helped with carers allowance, older persons benefit, child DLA. We can help with mobility schemes and access to those, such as getting blue badges, freedom passes, accessing things like Dial-A-Ride. We help with discretionary grants, so things like discretionary housing payments or household support fund scheme. We can help people to access those. We partner with a number of different food banks in the area, so if people are in immediate need, we can refer people to that. And we also help people to access services such as things like Active Minds, social networking, or other agencies in the borough that can help people to, become more socially included. So in terms of benefit claims, we help all the way from initial claims to challenging decisions through mandatory considerations, as well as representing people at social security tribunals. We're all trained up on managed migration to universal credit, which is going to be affecting a lot of people sort of over the next year. So we can help with benefit checks to make sure people are getting everything they're entitled to, dealing with any issues related to those benefits, referrals to other services, as previously mentioned. And I'm aware that this is about housing. So our assistance with housing is mainly around housing related benefit issues and housing costs. So that would include things like making sure that people are accessing the benefits they need to help pay their rent and keep them in their home, whether that's housing benefit or the housing element of universal credit. Help with the transition. Sometimes people move from supported accommodation into independent living, and there's a number of things need to happen in relation to their benefits to make sure that there isn't any kind of gaps in payments, their rent gets paid and they don't end up in any sort of arrears. So we can certainly help with that. As previously mentioned, we can help with access to sort of discretionary grants and schemes if people have found themselves in arrears and they need a bit of help to kind of get themselves out of that hole. We can help people to access and make an argument for discretionary housing payment that can help with that. So that's kind of how we kind of help people with that related to housing. So it's more about trying to help people to make sure they don't fall into the point that they end up in lots of rent arrears or face eviction. What we don't help with is the legal issues related to housing, so things like evictions or anything like that. It's all about helping people with benefits related to kind of housing costs or kind of accessing grants and schemes. So we accept referrals from organisations or individuals themselves. We prefer people to fill out the referral form through our website because that asks lots of questions that gives us information about some of the urgency of someone's needs and a bit more information about kind of what the actual issue is. But we appreciate that not everyone can manage an online referral, so if people do call us, we will accept that. So there's a link to our referral page, our referral form on our website. Sometimes we do close because we are a small group and sometimes we do get oversubscribed, so we can't always promise that we're going to be able to take on someone's case or help, but we hopefully, you know, we do our best to make sure that we're available to people who need it. So we have appointments in our office in South Croydon, Monday to Friday, sort of in normal office hours. We can work with clients over the phone or via Teams Zoom for whom that is needed, and we do provide home visits if there is a need. So if someone is kind of agoraphobic, has difficulty leaving their house, we can visit them in their home. We have two criteria. They have to be resident in Croydon and they have to be living with or affected by mental health difficulties. So you don't need to be under mental health services, but you do need to be affected by mental health in some way. So if you sort of, you know, can recognise yourself that you are living with a mental health difficulty, even if you haven't been diagnosed or haven't been picked up by kind of statutory services, we'll still help. But you do need to sort of, there does need to be some sort of mental health difficulty as a mental health charity. If there are any questions, I'm happy to sort of answer them.
Yeah, I guess for people who aren't diagnosed, what things would you be looking for in that case?
I mean, we're not going to sort of make it difficult for anyone. We'd ask someone, you know, do you feel that you're sort of affected by mental health difficulties? Do you feel that you're kind of they don't even necessarily need to say the words kind of mental health. You know, we might ask, do you feel kind of overwhelmed? Are you feeling kind of anxious at the moment? Are you feeling low? That's enough. We just have a conversation with them and ask them if you know, we don't need kind of proof or in any way.
Right, thank you.
Any more questions? Right. Thank you, David. That was great. If you can send the slides to me, then I will add them to the meeting notes. That would be great. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next on the list, we have Grace Brown. She's the Wellbeing Advisor for BME Forum. Hello, Grace.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Grace, and I'm one of the wellness advisors from the Croydon BME Forum. We're based in the Whitgift Centre on the first floor, and we, as a wellness centre, we're there to support people in the community with their well-being. We don't give any clinical advice because we've got another centre that deals with that, but we're here to support people, adults in the Croydon borough, people that work or live in Croydon, we give them 6 sessions. All our sessions are free. We give them free mental health sessions. We listen to them. We take on all the different issues that they're having, and we recommend activities or action plans for them to do to help to look after their well-being. And we support them by if we think they need any clinical support or any other support, we can signpost them to therapeutic services in the Croydon area. So they can come to us for that one-to-one. It might be issues around their housing, it might be issues around their family, it might be issues around their finances. Whatever the issues are, we try to capture them before they get into a crisis situation. So we're able to support them in form filling, and we have the different forms that we support them with: the PIP, attendance allowance, capability to work, carers allowance, and all these different forms we're able to support them with. We also support them with filling out the self-help tool, and Croydon Council, we're setting up a referral pathway where they can come to us and we'll be able to help them to fill out that self-help tool. Those who don't have access to online or smartphones, we're able to help them to fill out that self-help tool. As we've heard, that the self-help tool, they get an appointment with a duty officer, and they're able to then get that one-to-one. So we encourage them to go back to the council. We also encourage them, if they're looking for employment, we can help them to identify their skill sets, help them to maybe signpost them to other employment agencies like Reed, where they can get their CVs done and be able to help them with their applications for jobs and stuff. We have social activities. We encourage social activities and self inclusion where they don't have to feel isolated. So we have a lot of activities that are going on. We run workshops to do with your well-being. Most of them are health related, how to look after your health, your eating, and so forth. And we do that as well. Along with that, we also support. We've got an asylum seekers project, and this is a new project scheme that we've just taken on, and we're able to help those that are seeking asylum and be able to give them that one-to-one, provide help and support. We have actually got some, some workshops that go on on a Wednesday. So if you know anybody that's seeking asylum, we have a workshop that runs every Wednesday from 12 to 1, and we're able to give them mental health support as well as integrational support, how to get them GPs and how to get them back into the things that they don't know about, give them that one-to-one support. We've also got a family practitioner on our team, and she works with children that are having difficulties at school, whether they've been excluded, and we give that one-to-one support to families and to parents as well. And we've also got we have some drop-in clinics at the wellness centre, and I'll just name. We have health check advisor that will do your health check. We have Macmillan team that will come, that are based at the wellness centres. If anybody that's been diagnosed with cancer, we have that as well. We have a life coach. We have compassionate chats for anybody that's going through bereavement and they just need that one-to-one. We have group sessions where people can talk about their loss. We have a readers group. And we have a group called Sip and Paint where people can come and do some art therapy as well. We have an energy advisor. And if you want to have on every Thursday, we have a games hour. They call it games hour, but it's for 2 hours from 2 to 4. You can come and play chess, drafts, Dominoes, and we also got a lady that comes in from HIV that will do a free HIV test. So that's what we do at the Wellness Centre, quite a comprehensive range of activities. And we're open to not just the Black community, but everybody that's got any kind of mental health situation that needs support. We're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. It's good to know that you help with that self-help tool. I didn't realise that. That's good. Are there any housing related questions for Grace?
Sorry, it's not specifically housing related. You mentioned you do asylum support. Is that the same as the immigration surgery, or is that something different?
Oh, the self-help tool you're talking about?
No, you mentioned you do asylum help. Some sort of people can come in, or you mentioned asylum seekers.
Yeah, that's what we do. Is on top of everything else, we help the asylum seekers, those that are seeking asylum. We have a project that we've just started, and it's been running for about 3-4 months now. And yeah, we help them as well. A lot of them, as you know, they're put up in hotels. We're able to help them to get engaged in finding housing, and also we're able to support them with like packages with like vouchers, clothing, food, and personal hygiene, toiletries and so forth. We're able to give that out as well.
Is that different to the immigration surgery that you run?
The immigration surgery is just something that is just been recently introduced, and we've only had one so far. The next one is on the 17th of October, and it's for anybody, not just asylums, but anybody who's got any immigration situations. They can welcome to drop in for just from 10 till 12.
Is that
Oh
the
yeah,
one? Sorry.
Yeah, that's from the Home Office. They come in and they're able to give advice. They're not interested in any names or data or anything like that. It's just advice, anything around immigration.
That's run by the immigration enforcement team. Is there not a conflict there?
No, because as I said, they're not interested in any data, any names, any numbers. It's just total anonymous and confidential.
But they're running it, yeah? And people are turning up there.
Oh yeah, we've had one session
officers.
so far, and it was very well received.
Right. Okay. Probably for a chat for another time. Thank you.
Hi, Grace. This is Artie calling. I'm the social prescriber for GPNet 5. Just a quick question regarding the forms that you mentioned earlier. Does this need to be filled in through a referral form, or can people turn up to your drop-in sessions? Because I understand you're open 10 till 1, aren't you, for just drop-ins?
The thing is, we've been so inundated of late with form filling service that we have to actually make it by appointments now. So when people come in, they have to make an appointment.
Fine.
To book. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can just send them and they can just book an appointment with you directly and then come back when one's available. That's
right. That's how it works. Yeah,
Perfect.
They come in, we make an appointment for them, and then we can see them because there's only 2 advisors, and so we have to we have got a voluntary lady that comes in on a Tuesday to help support the form filling as well. So that's a great help to us.
Brilliant, lovely. Thank you, Grace.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Grace. And we have your notes already submitted, so I will send that out later. Next, we have Belinda. I hope, Belinda, your issues with sound are resolved.
I'll get the building work done, so you could see about getting the floor insulated, getting the extractor fan.
They were. I think I wrote it in the chat and she said they were resolved. So hopefully.
So when the property, so either when you sell it or when you don't.
Can we all put ourselves on mute if we're not speaking? Because there is some background noise.
To lend you the money, basically.
You know what, Kate, she might have dropped off. Maybe her internet is not good. I cannot see her in the room. So maybe you can kind of move on to the next person for the time being, and then I'll keep an eye on.
Okay, well, actually, Pastor Bola hasn't turned up this morning. She was the next on the list.
Okay.
So we'll wait. I'll go in and I've got a little bit I was going to share with you about Croydon voluntary action and what we provide and the training program. So I'll just do a little quick review of that, and then when Belinda comes, we'll resume with her. So I will just share my screen.
Great, we can see you. I mean, we can see the screen.
Good, thank you. Excellent. Right, firstly, I would like to share about the training. I don't know if you're all familiar with the CVA. This is the homepage of Croydon Voluntary Action. And here we have the training and events, and we're constantly updating information on here. So as you can see, we've got today's session, and there is a multitude of useful training for frontline workers and groups. So anything that I find that will be useful for you, majority of it is free or very low cost. So do keep an eye on that. So that's just updated as I find something new that will go on there. We have in here under help for groups, we have just very exciting resources for training. And at the moment, these are the sessions that we have done. And we've upnoted, if you go in there, you can explore. If there's a video, then you can source that training. All the meeting notes that are available have been uploaded there. And there will be a button for housing further down here, as you can see later on, once I get that uploaded. So keep an eye there. And if you want something, you may find up-to-date information in there. The other thing I'd like to just share about is we have a newsletter. If you have not already subscribed, we regularly send those out. So there is just, and this is under news, and if you subscribe to our e-updates, that's where I will send out periodically the training program, which will give you all the information of sessions up and coming. You can see their previous notes and news items. So just pop on there and subscribe, and then you will be kept up to date with funding and all sorts of other interesting, useful support for groups. Just think that's really it on that. I don't know whether Belinda has returned.
Kay, can you also quickly show from the homepage the database button? Because I think there is a useful list of homelessness services in there.
Apologies, I'm so sorry about that. Yes, here we have on the homepage again, go down to directories. On this page, we have a list of useful booklets, resources, list of food banks, autism support in Croydon, rough sleeper support, debt advice sessions, mental health. And then on this one, if if you go in here, for example, today under housing, if you come in here and put in a quick search housing and press explore, up will come 61 activities where housing is mentioned, and that's quite a good resource, sorry about that, for you to see. You can go into any of those. If you haven't got your organisation on there, let us know, we can add that, and any of your activities relating to this or any other service that you provide. So it might be good to check and see what's on the on there, and that would come under organisations. You can put in your organisation here, or you can support, go through the other buttons. I will put a little link on that in the meeting notes so that you know about that. The other thing I would like to just share with you briefly is under training next week. If you haven't already booked, we have a session on money management, how to support people to manage their money. This is also part of the One Croydon training, and we've got quite a few people coming to speak with us and share about what support there is to help people in the current climate. There's a lot of need for that. So just if you haven't registered, have a look on there, and we'll see you next week on that. Okay, I'm going to come out of that. Right, and I think I saw that Belinda was back in the room. Hello, Belinda.
We cannot hear you, Belinda. There is no sound.
I do have Belinda's notes, which we could possibly just
Maybe share on the screen.
share on the screen. If you just bear with me one moment. Sorry, I'm not.
Hello.
Oh, there you are, Belinda.
Oh,
yes.
Thank God.
I'm also relieved.
Really sorry, guys. I'm not used to using Zoom. We have Teams at Croydon, and I managed to be able to hear you guys. So I have been on since the start of your presentation and your talk. So it's been quite useful hearing you all. I feel like David at Hear Us, I feel like we do similar roles. So I kind of don't really want to sort of echo what he said, but I think I'm going to have to. But just to let you know, my name is Belinda Batt. I'm a welfare rights advisor. I work at Croydon Council, and I work on the income team in housing. And we've got 3 advisors covering the whole of the borough, and we only support council tenant residents with their benefit related inquiries. So part of the support that we offer is probably similar to what David at Hear Us said. You know, we support residents that are council tenants with all the applications for all kinds of benefits, and we support residents with the mandatory reconsideration and appeals process, which is quite lengthy at times. And due to the way our post is funded, we can only support that type of resident with council tenants. But we did have a welfare rights team here at Croydon, but the whole team was deleted when they disbanded the Gateway Directorate, and that was in June 2021, which was just after the pandemic, or in the middle of the pandemic kind of thing, and before the cost of living crisis. So we get referrals from everywhere. Okay, so we get them from internal teams such as social care, adult social care. We get them from teams within any area of the council, but we also get external referrals from Carers UK, Age UK, because since that welfare rights team was deleted, that consisted of 10 advisors, 2 debt advisors and 2 visiting officers. So since that team's gone, we have noticed that demand for our service has increased and we are very, very busy. And I think a lot of the external agencies such as Age UK and Carers UK that refer into us, so when they're busy, they can refer into us so we can take up the slack, particularly if it's a council tenant living in Croydon. We don't deal with all types of council tenants, such as those living in temporary accommodation in the bed and breakfast. Because of the way the post is funded, we don't support those types of residents. So as far as I'm aware, there isn't a welfare rights advisor assigned to that team. So we support residents. So our aim is to maximise income, to make sure that the resident can pay their rent, the council tax and other housing costs. And also we try to sustain tenancies. We try and avoid eviction action, and we support that resident so that they can remain in their home. I'm not quite sure what else I don't want to sort of repeat what David has said previously, but we are busy. I've got 2 surgeries. So every Monday I'm at the Family Centre in New Addington. I see residents for face-to-face appointments there. On a Tuesday, I am in Shirley on the Shrublands estate, and I work at the Children's Centre and I see residents there. I also work in the main council building, Bernard Wetherell House, so I can see residents there as well. But most of the residents that I see are based in New Addington, Shirley and parts of Selsdon. And we have the 2 other advisors, they cover 2 other areas. Yarrick covers Caulsden, South Croydon and Purley. And then we've got Eileen, she covers the area of Thornton Heath, Upper Norwood, South Norwood and that area. So yes, that's about it really. Has anyone got any questions? I have got a referral form. So if any of you guys know any council tenants that are living within the Croydon area that need support, I can provide a referral form, because we have an inbox, a generic inbox that I manage daily. So if you complete the referral form, return it to our inbox, and then what I do is I manage that inbox and I will distribute that referral to the relevant advisor that covers that particular area. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask me?
Sorry, I may have missed this, but can you just remind us which organisation you work for?
Croydon Council.
Okay, brilliant.
So I work on the income team. The income team, they manage rent accounts. So for every council tenant, they have a rent account and they pay their rent every week, or they get housing benefit or universal credit, and they use that money to pay their rent every week. Most of these go direct to the rent account. And the income team, their job is to manage that rent account, to make sure that their regular payments are being made. And obviously, if that particular resident is struggling financially, can't make the payments on their rent, or they've had maybe their universal credit or their housing benefit has been stopped, they will then make referrals to the benefit advisor assigned to that team to contact the resident and try and investigate matters and try and find out why benefit has stopped. So although initially we help with the housing benefit and universal credit, we deal with all benefits. So our job is to maximise income with that resident, to make sure that they've got enough money to live off, And also I'm a food bank signatory for the Vine Food Bank in New Addington. So I'm making quite a lot of referrals recently because a lot of people are struggling with the cost of living crisis. So we are getting more and more referrals for food banks. Whereas maybe a couple of years ago, I would refer to food bank because maybe someone's applied for universal credit, they're not going to get a payment with the initial claim. So we kind of make those referrals to the food bank to help them out until their universal credit benefit is in payment. But now we are seeing more and more residents that are working and struggling financially. And I do feel that the food banks they're struggling as well, because they're struggling to get food into their banks, and obviously the demand is quite high. So we are noticing that people that are working, people that have income, are still struggling. We also support residents with the Household Support Fund. Now, the Household Support Fund came to an end, but we are waiting for guidance and for more money from central government to replenish the Household Support Fund pot. So during the Household Support Fund, when it was running up until September, if somebody's got a gas bill that they can't pay, they can come in, they can see a member of the council, such as myself or an income officer, and we can try and get that bill paid for them. We also support residents that are struggling with putting food on the table. So I did find that during the months of August, where a lot of the mums, they're busy trying to get school uniforms together for the children, they're struggling to put food on the table. So we're obviously trying to support them with the Household Support Fund and issuing food vouchers so that they can go out to Asda, Morrison's, Tesco, Sainsbury's, so they can get a weekly shopping. Like I said, that fund has come to an end, but we are waiting for the pot to be replenished. So I'm hoping by the end of October, we're going to have some more money in the pot and we'll be able to pick up and resume with those applications. And we get quite a lot of people, making those applications through us that are struggling. So we are in a cost of living crisis. People that work are struggling. People on benefits are struggling. And also we've got the winter fuel allowance has also been cut for pensioners. So pensioners in receipt of pension credit, they will still receive this, but all the other types of pensioners that don't get the pension credit are not going to get their winter fuel allowance. So we do anticipate a lot of telephone calls, a lot of contact with all different types of residents from all different age groups that are going to be struggling this winter.
Thank you, Belinda. We've got 3 questions in the chat from Ria. So one is the income team the same team that sends out letters to tenants if they miss a payment? And the other question is, who are the other 2 people in your team and how Croydon is split between the 3 of you? And she apologizes if she missed this.
Yeah, so there's 3 of us. Yarrick Kopek, he does the South Central area. So South Central is usually parts of South Croydon, Purley and Coulsdon. And then Eileen Newman, she does the north of the borough, and that's Thornton Heath, South Norwood, Upper Norwood, Crystal Palace, that area. And I do the area, we call it East, and it's New Addington, Shirley and parts of South Croydon, usually from the Monks Hill estate, which does come under South Croydon, but it's kind of near sort of Selsdon way.
And could you write their email addresses in the chat by any chance?
Well, what we do, we have a referral process.
Okay.
So we don't, I can give you the referral form and
Yes,
there's a generic email address. So if you fill in the referral form for somebody that needs support and they're a council tenant, The email address is in the form, it's generic, and I manage the inbox. So when it comes through, I can tell by looking at it, and I can always check on our database who is the designated advisor for that area, and then I will forward it to that relevant advisor.
Okay.
So yes, the income team is the team that follows the rent recovery procedure, and they are the team that contacts residents if they miss payments, if they have high level of rent arrears. Yes, they will issue letters, but part of their procedure is to refer to us, the welfare benefit advisors, to see whether we can make contact and to see whether we can maximise their benefits, applying for benefits on their behalf, to see whether we can maximise their income so they can pay their rent, their council tax and their other housing costs.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Ree had your hand up. Has your question been answered?
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
I'll put the referral form in the chat for you all. I'll do that for you now. Okay.
Thank you. Right. If are there any other questions, anything else that anyone would like to share? Anyone who wasn't actually sort of on the agenda but would like to share about any housing support you offer? Right. I wonder, it would be helpful for us if you could just, I think we'll be winding up now because we've covered everyone on the agenda. Before you go, could you just put in the chat what you found most helpful from this session? What was you found helpful? That would be great.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Belinda can write the link to the referral form.
Yeah, and I have that already to send out in the meeting notes. Belinda's given me quite comprehensive notes to send out. The other thing is we have other notes from organisations who couldn't make today, Citizens Advice, for example, and Age UK. So I am going to put their notes in, so it will be quite a big.
There is a question in the chat, sorry, for Belinda. Is household support fund available to those who are not council tenants?
It is available to those that are not council tenants, but they would have to go through the discretionary housing support team at the council, not through the income team, because obviously we're there to support the council tenant residents only. And I think that each part of the council so the council gets allocated a pot of money, and then that pot of money is divided out to certain teams within the council. So there is a team for non-council tenants, and that is our discretionary housing team. And applications can be made online, although you can't make those applications at the moment because the scheme's closed. But when it opens, you can go online on our intranet, and non-council tenants can apply themselves for the household support fund.
Amazing. Thank you, Belinda.
That's okay.
Did you add that link, Belinda, sorry, in the chat already or not?
Kay has got the referral form.
Okay,
I'm having trouble uploading that. I'm not sure how I do
no
that.
worries, no worries. We will send it out. We will send it out with the notes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Right, have we any more feedback that anyone would like to add?
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. We'll give back half an hour of your time, which is always useful, isn't it, these days, being everyone so busy. Thanks so much. And if you're interested in a money management session next week, please book online and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you for everyone who participated. Thank you.